straying from your original question, is kind of what makes us unique. So let me just finish answering that before we kind of get into the things that we evaluate with the borrowers. So the relationship. I mean, again, I reinforce that, but speed. We can close loans with borrowers in as quick as 5 business days. We built relationships with our attorneys. Because of the volume of business that we give them, we're really trying to keep the fees to a minimum. So our attorney fee is a lot less than other lenders in the space. Another unique thing that Flip It Funding offers is we have the ability to create. We've got creative financial flexibility. I can get into that. We're going to talk, I think, next week a little bit about how we can structure some more sophisticated deals with private money or hard money. We also get it. My partner and I, we have over 40 years of combined experience in investments. And because we are a small private company, we're not getting our money from Wall Street. We're not hedge fund money that has fund documents that basically, if it only fits in this box, we fund it, and if it doesn't, we can't fund it. It's our capital, it's our portfolio. We keep so far to date, we've kept all of the loans in-house. And so we haven't turned around and sold any of our loans. And so we have the ability to kind of get creative, as creative as we want to get, and kind of adjust our risk appetite internally, which a lot of the other companies out there can't do, simply because they're taking down Wall Street money and they have to operate within the confines of what the fund documents say in terms of what they're allowed to finance or how they're allowed to finance.
So if there's somebody that's listening in this area that really is seasoned in this business and wants to partner with somebody and is looking for a long-term relationship and has enough experience that they can prove to you comfortably that they really do know what needs to happen, that's kind of a good fit person for your company, and you can build on that together. Is that correct? Am I understanding that?
Yeah, so getting back to kind of the stool that I mentioned, the borrower, the property, the financials, and the exit strategy. If somebody brings us a deal and it kind of hits, we want to make sure that the stool doesn't tilt. If there's something that's missing, if the borrower doesn't really have the experience, or if the property really isn't a good project for them, or just in general, if they don't really understand the financials of the deals, or they don't have the proper exit strategy, any one of those 4, if there's kind of a deficiency in their plan, maybe it's not a project for us, or maybe we get creative and kind of massage what's happening to try to figure out a way to make that. So a lot of times we'll get, in terms of first-time borrowers that approach us, I'll talk to somebody on the phone, and it's just it looks like maybe they've got a great property, the financials are close, and it just looks like a good project, but they don't have the experience. A lot of times in the past, I've recommended to these borrowers, hey, have you considered teaming up with, another investor or somebody that can kind of bring to the table the skill set that maybe you're lacking, or the experience that you're lacking? Because to have a first-timer, if it's somebody who's I had somebody in the financial services industry come to me, and they found a great project down in Port Charlotte, Florida. Great purchase price. Didn't know if it was extensive. It was that the property needed everything. Just total gut job. Pretty extensive. And I just wasn't sure that the borrower could handle the project. And I said, well, we'd like to kind of see that you're teaming up with somebody, or that you've got the ability to complete that transaction successfully. Help me, subside my fears, or
help me help you.
Yeah. Like so he said, well, listen, my cousin has been he's got an asset protection company that goes in and basically works with the banks to go in and preserve the properties after they go through foreclosure. So they're securing them, they're securing the windows, access, and just trying to protect the property so that no additional value is taken from the property, either from people breaking in or weather or something like that, so that they'll address roof leaks, et cetera. And so, he kind of sold us on, that this kind of partnership that they have is, that's how he kind of sold us. And I said, all right, we'll give you a shot. And so we did the loan, and it was a struggle. Ultimately, after a year, they decided. I still don't know. I didn't reach back out to him this year to see what happened to the property, but he refinanced the property from us, and I'm not sure, but that he might have kept it as a vacation rental.
Was that part of the so those were some exit strategies you had talked about beforehand, or?
So the exit strategy was to fix it up and sell it, but I could tell in conversations with him during the process that he was thinking about keeping it possibly as a rental, and I knew his credit was good enough to get refied, so he wasn't going to have a problem. So he had a couple exit strategies.
Yeah, you need at least two.
Yeah, you need at least. I mean, the more exit strategies, the better. That props up that fourth leg to the stool.
We are running out of time, and we clearly do not have enough time to cover everything we want to cover. So I want to make sure that we don't lose opportunity to finish up on today's thoughts and be ready for what we're going to talk about next week, but where we will just go into some of the more sophisticated information and how the more sophisticated investor can maximize the benefits of hard money. We'll do that next week, but I wonder, what would you want to be the key thing that you'd want someone to take away from what we talked about today?
Yeah, well, I think for anybody out there listening that's thinking about approaching a hard money lender, private lender, some of the key things that we look for as a lender, be prepared, know your numbers. So when you don't just wing it, because I don't want to hear. I've been doing loans long enough to know, if somebody's rehab budget is close, or if they're just kind of pulling it out of thin air. So be prepared, kind of be professional. I want to know that you're honest. I want to know that I'm doing business with somebody who's honest. I had just a quick story. I know we're wrapping up here for the session, but I had somebody who was a broker, and they know that I can't do owner-occupied loans, and so and the property wasn't for them. But I showed up. It was for one of their business partners who was going to buy it. But I showed up at the property, and I couldn't tell what was happening at first on the property. It looked like somebody was living in there, but half the stuff was moved out, and I just asked the guy who had originally contacted me. I said, "Is somebody living here?" And he said, "Oh, no, nobody's living here." And I said, "Well, okay." But I was getting the sense that somebody was living there. And so, I said, "Okay, well, let me take some pictures." And I go down the hall and snapping pictures of the bedrooms. And I got to the bathroom, and I wanted to make sure that they were still in the living room. And I went and I decided I wanted to check the shower floor, and the shower floor was wet. And then I go and I see a toothbrush, on the counter, and I go up and I feel the toothbrush bristles, and the toothbrush was wet. And I was like, well, these guys are trying to, pull one over on me and
bamboozle me.
And it's like, the thing is, the deal was a great deal. I would have financed it because I was financing it for his partner. I come to find out later that, I drive by on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock, and sure enough, there's a glow of a TV from behind the curtain, and the guy who met me, his truck was in the driveway, so obviously he was living there. But, I would have done the loan, but they weren't being honest about, who was living there. It wasn't going to be owner-occupied because his partner was going to buy it, and then this guy was staying there, so it wouldn't have violated any consumer lending. So it was just, so be honest, know your numbers, and come across as professional. Look, we're lending, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year to people, and we want to know that we're building those relationships, and we want to know that our borrowers are honest and truthful with us. You don't have to know all the answers. I mean, I learn something new every day.
But just be transparent.
Yeah,
be transparent with us.
Yep.
Well, I love that. I think this is great. And I can't wait for next week. And please, if you missed anything there, you want to recap any of what we talked about today, you can do that by going to societybitesradio.com or maggierosemarch.com. Thank you for being with us, Robert, and thank you, audience. We'll see you next week.
This has been Real Estate Hotwired with Maggie Rose March. Please stay tuned for more with Robert Parker from Flip It Funding. If you have any questions or comments, please contact her at maggierosemarch.com or realestatehotwired@gmail.com.